Hey everybody, it's Anna. So I'm back with our full moon live stream. I missed the new moon live stream a couple weeks ago, and I think I missed a new moon or a full moon before. So I started off strong this year, and now I'm getting a little inconsistent. But I'm back for the harvest moon. So let me know if you're here, and let me know if you can hear me okay. If you don't mind, just so I know that I'm not talking blankly to to silence. Um, so yeah, the harvest moon. I think the harvest moon sounds pretty obvious on some level because we're getting to the end of summer. We're beginning the fall, where all summer long, the crops have been in the ground, and now it's time to harvest them. There's some fruit. There's some availability of blessing and expanse. But I looked it up anyway, right? Because I wanted to know if there's anything I'm missing on the harvest moon. And what was interesting is I read everywhere I read, there was the same kind of observation that during the harvest moon, the moon is early in the sky, and it's very bright in the sky. So even before dark happens, you see the moon. And actually, I saw it yesterday, and hi Irene, and I saw it early. Still the sky wasn't dark yet. I saw the moon, but it said not only is the moon early, but also it's very persistent throughout the night. And basically said that it gave the farmers a chance to harvest their products or their crops even at night. Hi, Tammy. And Jesse. Hi. Good. I'm glad you're all here. And I thought, wow, that's such an interesting observation that there's so much fertility in the ground. There's so much fruit available that we can't even get it all done during the day. We have to stay up at night and let the moon give us light to keep, harvesting all of this amazing stuff we have planted. Um, so, it's almost like we're going in excess. We're kind of going into overdrive now because we've got all these amazing things. We've been tilling the ground, taking care of the ground, and taking time to rest and time to engage, which we always talk about in the major arcana. You move and then you rest. And now all of that is built up to this crescendo of so much produce, so much fruit that we can't even get it all done in the daytime. We have to also harvest at night. So I love that, right? I love that. And it really challenged me because I have been going through part of the reason I haven't been around is because I was going through this energetic challenge for maybe this whole last several months, maybe longer. But like kind of draining really quickly and almost feeling just like really drained of life force. It was really interesting. And it happened a few different times. And I know some of you probably have been around. I turned 50 in July, and I went away for a week. I just went away from everyone for a week and spent some time in this little farmhouse retreat, just being quiet and like sleeping and eating. And by the time I got back, I felt better, right? And I'm like, okay, well, so I tried to come up with a strategy. Well, I'm gonna change what I try to be more adapting to my rhythms. I'm 50 now. I need to be like mindful of my body's needs. But then it happened again. I had another bottoming out, and I thought, okay, there's something I'm not seeing, right? There's something I'm not seeing. And so what I ended up doing is going to a friend of mine. I've known her for a long time, but I don't go to her hardly ever, but she's a Reiki healer. And I'm like, that's who I need to see. Right. And so I went to this Reiki healer a few weeks ago, and I realized there was energy on me that I wasn't seeing. And so I thought, yeah, that's my blind side. I have a blind side. It took me 50 years to realize it, but I have a blind side, and I need someone else to watch my blind side. And I tell this to my clients all the time, the idea that, you get to a point where you think, I need someone else to help me. Even if, and you can do all your own work, and we should always do as much work as we can for ourselves. We are crazy powerful. We are crazy insightful. Like there's so much you can do. There's so much you can do for yourself, but you do at some point hit a moment where you're like, and you've tried different things. You don't just go, oh, I hit a block, I give up, right? We don't do that. We go, hit a block, you try something. You hit a block, you try something. You just keep going until finally you go, okay, I am convinced now. Which it happened. I had maybe 4 or 5 times where my blood pressure was bottoming out, and every time I tried something, think I got a little bit closer to something, but I couldn't solve it, right? And finally, I'm like, okay, I need to go ahead and get actually another person to help me with this. And I think that's such a great reminder. It's such a great reminder um, in the spiritual journey is that, especially when you're a creative intuitive, which many people who are drawn to my work are, it is a very solitary practice in a lot of ways because you're the one evoking your vision. And really, no one, mostly not many people, maybe no one, can really contribute to that. They can offer their support and their love and they can cheer you on, but really no one knows what you're creating but you. So we get used to the idea that I'm the only one with the answers. And that's true to a degree. You can't really look to other people to answer the questions you have to answer, right? And yet, I do know theoretically we cannot. I already also know that you cannot do it by yourself. So part of my journey as a human being is figuring out where I can't do it by myself and figure out how to let people into the places where I need help. Right. And I think it's such an important part of my journey and for a lot of my clients that most of us have learned to rely on ourselves because it was necessary for us to do what we needed to do. Right. But then we end up getting kind of cut off from the availability of resource that we need. So for me, I kind of, I keep having these moments where I'm like, yeah, I need something. I can't figure it out. But I think maybe I've solved this now. I'm not going to speak too soon, but like I went ahead and set up like a regular appointment with this person to check my blind side for me. So hopefully we're getting there. But I think that it's really interesting to me that there's so much work that goes into even surfacing an insight like that. It took me 6 months, right? And me going back and forth that, once you finally hit something that you actually think might work, um, fruitfulness kind of naturally surfaces. When you're working against a deficit, which is this there was an energy on me that I probably was carrying this energy for, I mean, a good portion of my life, I will say. All right. So I'm kind of used to the idea that I'm going to wear out quickly. I'm going to be tired very quickly because that's my experience. So when you solve something that's been a chronic problem for a long time, it's really kind of challenging to get your bearings, right? So in my life as an adult human, I will say, I'm kind of used to the idea that I'm going to tire easily. I'm going to flag quickly. So, I have to be mindful of my energy and like not go overboard and doing things because I actually don't have all my energy. My life force is being drained all the time without me realizing it. Um, so but once you solve the thing that's causing that deficit, then you have to figure out, well, now what am I capable of, right? That's part of the challenge. So I thought the message of the harvest moon, which is that, according to what I read, is that the harvest moon is there so you can start harvesting early. You can harvest all day and you can stay up all night and continue harvesting because there's so much blessing that's come in your life. You need to go overtime in harvesting it. My mind goes, oh my gosh, do you think I'll be able to do that? Do I have the energy to pull that off? So it's a really neat challenge for me to think about, like, well, what is popping right now that really I need to go ahead and go full speed and really pour myself out. Um, to harvest what is available. So, um, that's my spiel. Oh, hi, Sebastian. So anyway, and someone else commented because I posted yesterday about this live stream, and someone else posted I should do a collective reading. So I don't know what necessarily that means, but I feel like a collective meeting is like a collective reading is a group reading, which I think I'm doing. When I do the tarot story, it's kind of a collective reading. Like I'm reading the story, and some people connect with it, some people probably don't. But the idea is we're kind of offering this sort of broad message, which you can take in whatever way it makes sense to you. So in my mind, when I pull the first spread, so I'm going to pull a spread, 3-card spread, like I always do. That to me is our spread. You can use it. It's your spread. It's my spread, and I'm pulling it, and then that's my kind of general message, or the one I'm reading for the harvest moon. But then always say, now, if you want to pull a spread yourself, you can pull your own cards. I guess that's where maybe it got a little confusing because I am pulling a spread, not just for me, but for us. But then some of you will pull your own spread. And I actually, when I started the live stream, I didn't really mean to read everybody's spread. That wasn't my plan. I wasn't planning to do that, but it just kind of happened. I think someone in early live stream said, "Well, this is what I pulled," and I'm like, "Oh, well, that might be this." I just sort of kind of spontaneously sort of offered my ideas, and then everybody or many people began giving me their spreads. I don't have a problem with it, but I think that became a bulk of the live stream. So maybe it looks like I'm reading everybody's spreads when really my intention was to pull a spread. And then that could be sort of stand on its own. And then we just kind of get into individual spreads. So anyway, my first spread that I'm about to pull is for everybody. You don't have to pull your own spread. You can use mine. You can apply it to your own life if you want to, if it makes sense, or you can discount it, right? So I'm going to do that first, pull my own spread for all of us. And then if you have your own deck there, if you want to pull a spread, we'll go from there. So let's look see who's there. Jenny is there, and Brittany and Jesse. Awesome. Okay, so harvest moon, right? That means there's a harvest ready to be harvested. There's probably another way of saying that. Sounds redundant. A harvest is ready for us to glean. We're gleaning the harvest. So the 3 questions I came up with was, one, about to sneeze. We have bad allergies in Alabama right now. I do. Okay, it went away. Or what is the harvest? What is our harvest? What is it that's ready for us to, what has shown up in our lives that's ready to be harvested? Second, how do we harvest? What's the action we are going to take to bring the crops into the barn? And the third would be, how do we offer it into the world? I think releasing the gift into the world actually is the final piece of the journey, and it's absolutely necessary. I think I brought this up in a few of the tarot stories. By the way, the tarot stories are collective readings too. I already said that. Okay. Is that the 10 is when at the 10 point in every trajectory, maybe not so much the sword's trajectory. That's more of an internal journey, but the other 3, the 10 point is where the gift becomes universal, which means whatever you've been working on, now it releases into the world. It doesn't belong to us anymore. So we actually release ownership and control of the gift. It goes into the world. And the 10 in numerology, the 10 is the 1, right? The 10 reduces to the 1, which means as soon as you release, you plant something new. So if you don't release, if you don't do the 10 point where you let go of the blessing, then you don't start something new. So you stall out here right at the end. So you're not done until the gift goes into the world and you let go of it. That's what I'm going to say. So 3 questions are, what are we harvesting? What's shown up that we're ready to harvest? How do we harvest? And how do we release? So there's actually one question that's about surfacing insight, and 2 are about action steps. Okay, so I'm going to pull the first card. What have I surfaced? We surfaced, if you want to use my cards. 10 of Wands reversed. All right. I always think the light here is a little weird because these are shiny cards. Okay, so the 10 of Wands reversed. Wands is about passion, fire, confidence, right? 10 is the final point, right? So the guy is literally bringing his harvest he's got his wands, he's carrying the town. The town is there, so he's carrying his wands to the harvest. What I notice about this card is the guy's been over. And if you look at the wands trajectory, I say this all the time, probably from the 5 point on. You see struggle, and you see, there's lots of energy and the challenge of living in your passion, because passion is such a big energy that we want to flow really hard, right? But we discover often in the flow of energy, there's sort of this pushback. And we often think it's a pushback from other people, right? We're like, oh, I have to defend myself. And that's well, the 5 of Wands is not really, it's more of a sparring match, but the 7 of Wands is where the person's like standing his ground. And there's this idea that we're going to be opposed in our passion. And it's easy for us to, it makes sense that we would think the opposition is from outside of ourselves, but actually the opposition, I think, to the Wands energy is within ourselves. Our mind is worried because this energy is really big. It's really fast moving, and the mind can't really predict where it's going. When you move quickly, the mind translates that into danger. So the mind is the one hitting the brakes for us. So part of the challenge of the second half of the Wands trajectory is taking care of the mind, helping the mind not fight with you, helping the mind, encouraging the mind to walk in faith, encouraging the mind to feel safe so that we can just flow, right? But so we have, that's part of the journey of the wands. The mind's nervous because we're moving too quickly. It thinks we're moving too quickly. So if you don't take care of the mind, if you're not aware the mind is nervous, that it needs attention, it needs to talk out its fears, it needs to bring you its concerns. If you're not doing that, you're going to get ongoing and probably increasing challenge. You're going to lose energy. You're going to get blocked a little because the mind is now hitting the brakes while the intuition is hitting the gas. And then, right, so by the time you get to the end, you may get to the end, but at this point you're exhausted because you've been fighting yourself the whole way, right? So the reversal of this, I often read the reversal of this is realizing that resistance doesn't have to be part of the journey. It's part of the journey because something is going unaddressed in the mind. The mind has a problem and we're not addressing it. And so the mind is hitting the brakes. And now we're creating we're living inside of a conflict. But the reversal of the 10 of Wands is like, you release the gravity. The conflict is resolved and you still cross the finish line and you're enjoying it, but it's relaxed, it's released. The burden is off your back because you've learned how to stop fighting yourself, if that makes sense. So when I read this, I say as what fruit is coming in or what the harvest is, I would say the harvest is agreeing to releasing that gravity. That doesn't sound like it has fruit, except that I would say fruit flows naturally when you stop the conflict. Okay. Let me explain how that would probably make sense to me. So, hi Jennifer. Oh yeah, I'm glad you're here. So the first, okay, let me think about this. So for years, and I mean, even when I was actively in ministry, I've always known that music was a part of my personal path, right? It comes up all the time, but I cannot find any kind of ongoing, I don't have a consistent capacity to engage it. So it's been a bit of a conundrum for me for a long time. As I know music is there. I know it's part of my journey, but I can't quite live in that. Right. And when I try to live in it, I kind of fall out quickly. It's like the Wands trajectory. Like you feel impassioned, you feel clear, but you keep losing energy around this. Right. You keep getting stopped, and maybe I'll get a little bit done, but by the time I get something done, I feel like this, I'm bent over, I'm exhausted. So it's very difficult to complete what I want to complete. If I do complete it, it kind of feels bad. It's kind of like you're kind of bent over, you're kind of broken and you don't feel good. Right. So if you can solve the problem of the struggle, just this, if you can get the mind to relax all the way and solve whatever the mind's reacting to, then the music flows naturally. You don't have to make the music happen. The music is ready to happen. And this is true with creative intuitives. The art is in you. The gift is in you. It will flow easily. If you just remove the obstacles, it will flow easily. So you don't have to make things happen. They naturally flow. The challenge is not making it happen. The challenge is in figuring out what the problem is, what's the energetic block. So for me, finally kind of coming to the realization that I had an energetic burden that I could not solve, and finally going, oh, I'm going to ask for help. It seems very obvious that you would ask for help. It took me a while to get there. And like, who can help me? It was almost like I didn't even know who to ask. And suddenly I go, oh, that's the person. Something about that moment, I was ready for that moment. And when that occurred to me, I went and had her help me. And I feel like now the music can flow. So it's not so much about like how the music's going to flow, how it's going to manifest. Rather, it's trusting that it will. So that may be something, if that connects to you, that would be how I would read this in my own personal circumstances. So being able to see like where has the gravity been released? Where have I seen something, finally found something, or had help in finding something that was blocking me that I could finally release this? And then how, like, just removing that block, like just the blessings just flow up, the bounty flows up. So the challenge in this case is not about like making the things manifest. It's about solving the energetic problem within me. Which is, so it's almost like it's backwards than what we expect. Like in a linear path, if you want a crop of corn, you clear the field, you plant the field, maybe you water the field. I don't know what you do with corn, but whatever you do, like there's a path, and every piece of the path probably has an action and a rest, right? But it's a very predictable path. It's very obvious. You're going to make corn, you take care of the field of corn. When you're evoking creativity, you don't necessarily feel tend this field, you tend an inner field. You do something else, right? Maybe you're not practicing guitar, but you're clearing the path for the music. So it's just different when you're a creative intuitive. It's different than the way other people will create. Okay. I'm gonna stop talking about that because I feel like I'm just talking myself further and further into chaos. But that would be how the way I read that. Next two questions are action steps. And they are, how are we going to harvest? So this is the harvest. How are we going to harvest? What are we going to do to harvest, to gather this harvest in? Nine of Pentacles. Nine of Pentacles, which is 9 is the moment just before the 10. Like we're almost ready to cross the finish line. Pentacles is the physical realm. And this image is a woman, you know, she's dressed in a beautiful cloak. She's wealthy. She's in this beautiful garden. She's clearly a lady of leisure and she's enjoying her leisure. I love this lady because I'm like, I want to be a lady of leisure. I want to be this lady. I want to be this woman. So she's just enjoying being on the planet. She's enjoying the garden she has planted, she has tended, or maybe she instructed somebody to tend it for her, right? She's pretty wealthy. She maybe has her own gardener. This idea of like she has envisioned what she wanted. She has manifested it on the planet and now she's enjoying what she's done, right? So I love this lady because I think it really is about, don't forget to be on the planet. Don't forget to eat good food and take the time to enjoy that good food and to go for long walks and let the sun be on your face and like, you know, just and wear beautiful clothes that make you feel happy. This very physically embodied experience of joy and abundance and wealth. And it's also personal. The 9 point is like I said, the 10 is where it goes to the world. The 9 is I am enjoying my own private little piece of heaven. My own little slice of heaven is right here. I'm enjoying this. I kind of love this showing up here because we think of harvesting as being, I'm doing something, I'm active, I'm being serious. That's kind of what I would anticipate with this. You're working at this, right? This is like, no, I'm enjoying. I'm letting myself feel the rhythm of abundance. And actually, from this point, the 9 of Pentacles, when you get in that rhythm of abundance yourself, it spontaneously, in my mind, it spontaneously shifts to the 10, where suddenly gold's raining down from the sky. So the gold comes from the sky, not because you worked hard for that gold, because you just let yourself settle into the feeling of abundance. You let yourself be on the planet in flow. And that flow, your personal flow, opens up a vortex of flow for others. It's a really cool way of thinking of manifestation. And it's countercultural because we're talking about the harvest moon is about farmers. And I picked cotton when I was a kid for maybe 30 minutes because I'm in Alabama and we have lots of cotton fields. And my grandparents picked cotton. It was a very common thing among my ancestors to pick cotton. So I have picked cotton for, 30 minutes. And it's really hard. It's really hard to pick cotton. But also my husband, he has a garden. I don't even go out there and look at it because I am not a farmer. I am this lady. I am not the lady tilling the field, right? But anyway, why did I start saying about that? Oh, because we think of farming is a very labor intensive job. It is. Farmers are very serious. They have to be very committed. They have to be very regular. It's a certain kind of work that's very valuable. So I'm not at all discounting the value. That's very important work. And there's a lot of work in the world that's like that. It's very labor intensive. You have to be very committed. That's true. Most of my clients are not really built to do that kind of labor. We're built to actually create spaces of abundance, not spaces of more struggle. So this makes sense to me that my gifts flow into the world when I am relaxing, not when I'm working harder. Okay. That's the second action step, which is actually the action step is enjoy yourself. I like that. And then the third question is, how does this flow into the world, right? How this gift is here. How does it flow into the world? The Chariot. Oh, that's nice, right? I love the Chariot because it's the number 7. It's the 7th card in the major arcana. Is it 7, right? It's 7. It's not 16, it's 7. So the 7th card of the major arcana, and I connect 7 to discernment, making wise choices. And the Charioteer here, he's not moving yet, right? We think of the Chariot as a very fast-moving, powerful vehicle of agency, and it is, right? So we, again, think of it as motion, it's movement. But actually the image here is the guy standing still or sitting still. And these two beasts they're going to pull the chariot, they're resting right now. But he's looking over the horizon. And I always think he's looking for where he wants to go. He's discerning, he's making a choice. So he doesn't feel compelled. I got to move right now. I got to quickly take action. There's no rush here because there's no danger of him missing anything. I think that's what I like about the 7 card is it saying you don't have to, you're not going to miss the boat. Just take your time, let your discernment surface within you. And I also connect this card to the gift of joy because I think that I you can hear the siren, it's going by. The gift of joy. So joy is sort of an eruption of energy, and actually there's I feel like there's this is very quiet. The 9 is very quiet, but there is something kind of like more of a quiet energy of satisfaction and happiness. But joy is sort of like it springs up in you. It's that inspiration moment where you go, oh, I want to do this thing, right? You can feel like joy vibration in your body. It's a very high vibration, and it's such a high vibration that it's easily readable. Like when someone's in joy, you can feel it vibrating off them, right? And the universe can feel it too. So when we make discernments from a place of joy, it's a very loud vibration. It's very big. It's very, very obvious, and it's easily readable, which means the universe is very quickly able to respond to joy, right? So I feel like he's waiting until he's looking across the horizon to see what inspires joy in him, what makes him go, oh, that's what I want, right? And as soon as that joy surfaces, he will make his choice. And these beasts who are sitting here, and they're like sphinxy looking beasts, like they're kind of like cats, and they've got like the Egyptian. So they're not just lions or something. They are actually like magical, mystical creatures, right? And it's almost like they stand in for the universe. They're like waiting for the vibration to hit. He also doesn't have any reins in his hands. So he's not going to signal these beasts by shaking the reins, or he's just going to feel it, and they're going to feel it. And immediately they're going to jump to, as soon as he sees the thing that gives him joy, um, the vibration will hit him, it will hit them, and they'll start moving right away. And then we've got that agency of the chariot. Now we're in a position of deep flow and momentum, because as soon as joy surfaces, we have a big response. So how I'd read this, all that to say, how I'd read this is it goes into the world by us searching the place that calls to us, that makes us excited. And it might not be, I say joy, I think joy can be a very big vibration. But I think the better you get at looking for joy, the more subtle it can become. Like I will suddenly just go, oh, I think I want to do that. I want to try that. And it's a little bit of a ping inside of me, but it's not a very loud ping because I'm not 20 anymore. I'm 50, as I've said. And it's quieter, but I'm paying attention more. So for example, this is maybe an okay example. Like last week, someone gave me a dulcimer for just as a gift. Someone had a dulcimer and she said, oh, you might want this. And because she never played it. And so last week I just picked it up and I just and I had never played a dulcimer before, but it's really easy. Like it's a three string instrument. It's really a beautiful sound. So I started playing and I thought, oh, this is really nice. I bet you I could sing it. So I bet you I could sing a song with this. And I thought of a song and I actually put it on my other channel. But it's an old mountain song called Wayfaring Stranger. I picked it up. I probably played it twice on the dulcimer. I figured out the recording I wanted and I sang it and I thought, okay, that's the song, right? And then I played it at my husband's church because it's an old spiritual song. But it was so easy. My mind was almost like, should we practice more on that? Are you sure we're ready to go in public with that? And then I recorded it last week, right? And my mind's like, Anna, you haven't spent hardly any time on this. But it was just a ping inside me, like, this is the song. It's a beautiful song. It's a beautiful instrument. They go together. Let's just do it. And I think that, and then you release it, right? So as soon as I got that ping, I kind of wanted to doubt it. Like I'm sitting here looking across the horizon. I see the dulcimer. I've never picked it up before, but I'm going to pick that dulcimer. I'm just going to pick that up. And as soon as I did, there was a connection that was made, a very easy connection. It took me half an hour maybe to learn it and to figure out what I wanted to do. And then I recorded it, put it in the world, and it's now in the world doing whatever it's going to do. But so I think it's very easy. It's so much easier than you might think it is. The challenge is, again, it comes back to this card, which is the struggle is not in the creation of things or in the flow of creative flow. It is actually in the mind's confusion or question or thinking that it has to be harder than it is. So when you're ready to put in the world, you just see what makes you happy and see what pings for you, what excites you, and let it release. So that spread is very esoteric. And I feel like I had someone reach out to me recently who wanted me to help with marketing. Like, how do they market what they're doing? And I was like, I feel like I know what you're asking for. Like, you're asking for action steps. And I was like, I feel like I'm going to disappoint you because I said, I don't do action steps. action steps for a creative intuitive is not tilling the field, planting the field, watering the field. I mean, those action steps might be blended in, but it is about feeling your joy, clearing your spaces, removing your stress, talking to your mind. It's this sort of inward partnership you're creating, and an inward attention and focus. That's when you clear that, everything else happens kind of naturally. And I think that's such a challenge when we live in a world that's so linear and so like action step based and logical action step based, that you want your mind's just wanting a logical, just give me the map, just tell me what to do. And like that's just not how it works. And my mind had to give that up. My mind for a long time was like, okay, but there's got to be a map, right? And we're gonna get a map. And finally, I'm like, there is no map, my friend. We're just going to have to wing it. We have to go forward, find the problems, clear the obstacles. I think it's just it's just a completely different way of seeing things that, so I felt compassion for this person, because I thought, yeah, I know you want action steps. I get it. But that's not how I work with people. I never give action steps, because we have to solve the inner problem. The action steps will naturally surface if you can solve the inner problem. So anyway, that's it for me for right now. So let's see. Does anybody else have anything? So far, no one's pulled any spreads. So, I mean, if you want to pull spreads, you can share them with me now. I'll just read some comments though. Haley says, oh, so thank you for the live today. Good. I'm glad you guys are here and that you needed it. Sebastian says, I can't write music on demand, so I carry a notebook with me at all times to catch the flow. No, I don't think, well, I was about to say something that's not universally true. I don't think creative intuitives ever create on demand. That's what I'm talking about, action steps. Like you can't just say, oh, today I'm going to clear if you're a farmer, you can make a plan. Like early spring, I'm going to clear the land. I'm going to, there is an actual there's actual plan for how you're going to do that. Now, there are people who create art who do it in a linear way, if that makes sense. Like they have a plan. They're gonna, I don't really know how to do this because I don't do it this way, but they seem to have like, they're kind of production artists. Okay. Maybe that's like if you're a potter, right? And you create a similar vase, there's a pattern you're using to create a vase, and you can create 30 vases in a day because you know what you're creating. There's a whole process to it. And so you can sit down and plan for 5 hours. I'm gonna do my pottery, right? I think that's a certain kind of creativity. That's more of a linear focused creativity. And so, but you're not evoking a new vase every time, right? You're not evoking a new creation. You've got a pattern that you know how to do, and you're doing it regularly. Okay. But if you're an intuitive creator, which means you're actually evoking something new, it shows up when it's ready to show up. And if you want to make room for that, your only real vehicle, you can't make it come, right? Your vehicle is to take care of whatever might block it. That's all you can do. You have to kind of like help your mind be chill, help your mind be, and when there's nothing surfacing right now, you help the mind relax, not to get too nervous, not try to force it. That's a whole negotiation with the mind. Also, you might spend a lot of time not doing anything and helping your mind trust that that's okay. That's a whole different kind of negotiation. And it's something that it's not really prevalent. Well, it's not taught in our world because no one knows how to teach this stuff. I mean, I don't know how to teach it either. That's what I'm saying. I don't know how to teach it. I just know how to help people do it because I have to do it this way. But it's about like trusting yourself and developing that faith journey within yourself. So if you're a linear intuitive, a linear creative, I'm sorry, I think. And a lot of times when people are talking about how to be creative, they're using a linear model, which does work for some people. That's the challenge of it, right? You could say, but that person does it that way and it works. Like, yeah, probably because they're a linear creative. So that's great that it works that way for them, but you're not doing what they're doing. Even if it looks like we're doing the same thing, we're not doing the same thing because I am evoking something almost from scratch, like from the rawness of the spiritual realm. And that takes as long as it takes. So I appreciate what you're saying, Sebastian. Can't write music on demand. I think intuitive creatives can never do anything on demand. Now, that's not to say that if you can't sort of set up I'm not going to get into that. You can create structures that are helpful structures for your intuition, but your mind has to constantly evaluate those structures, right? Like it can't be pressure. It can't be demand. It has to be like, helpful spaces. So maybe your mind goes, okay, every Tuesday and Thursday, we're going to go for a walk in the woods and just make lots of space for the intuition to talk. That's not a bad structure. Let's say your intuition in the middle of the walk, it does kind of regularly ping and go, you know what? We're going to do this. That's the mind creating the right atmosphere of hospitality for your intuition to talk. But the mind cannot make it happen. And other people, the outside world can't make it happen. You have to just be loving towards that energy and be respectful and faithful. And that it may sound easy. That's not easy. That is almost the whole challenge of most of my clients' work and my work as well. Okay, so let's see. Brittany says, follow the excitement. Absolutely, yes. I'm sorry, I can't read. My eyes are watering. What can you do for heavy menstrual flow on this day? I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if there's pain in it. That would be to me, because I don't know what the underlying. Because what I would ask the question is there an underlying challenge? Is something else? Is there anxiety around this? I would look at like the problem behind the heavy menstrual flow, right? Like what are you experiencing as the challenge? What's traditionally the challenge there? So if there's something else to learn or support, I would say that would be where the conversation is. Otherwise, it's a physical challenge. So I would say, how would you handle a physical challenge? Maybe you do go to a doctor, or you go to someone who's who's more physically adept. Like the reason I went to this Reiki instructor is I do have a blind side when it comes to my physical body. My mind and my mind and my heart are very active all the time. My body gets a little drowned out, and I'm not always able to connect with my body. And I think all of us have like a blind side. It's either the heart, the mind, or the body. All of us have one blind side, and we need help with that. So you may need someone who's more physically minded to help with this, or it's like a physical work that needs to be done with yoga or a Reiki person, or, those other sort of physical modalities. But that's all I could say for that. Let's see. What are some good rituals for the full moon tonight? I don't know, right? What feels good? Like if I look at my spread, I would say, what makes you like enjoy being in the world? Like what makes you feel physically happy and loved and supported? Like how can you be, it's not elaborate. What's the word for extravagant? How can you be extravagant in the world? Or what pings you? What gets you excited? What's the thing that's got you excited in the world? What releases gravity for you? To me, it is so, because I am an intuitive, and I'm so much of an intuitive that I can't even predict what structures might work for you, right? Because structures are just either they're just tools. They're either helpful or they're not helpful. Some tools we need help accessing, and some tools are not helpful anyway. So yeah, follow your instincts. I know that's not a satisfying answer when the mind is looking for action steps, but that's the only answer I have. Okay. Let's see. Jesse says, are we able to connect with you? Yes, absolutely. I do have, I work with people one-on-one, and I have an email, which I put in my information. So, but I can also include it in the comments below after this. But yeah, if you want to email me, we can set something up. But I absolutely help people with releasing energy blocks. Let's see. Love, no fear. Is work not happening for me because I keep going to the typical job instead of my passion for, I would say probably. And the reason I say that is because all of us creative intuitives are raised in a linear world. That's not a problem. That's just true. That's just what is. So we spend the first half of our lives trying to fit into this world, because that's okay. That's the mind. That's a gift for the mind to learn how to function. You need to learn how to pay taxes. You need to learn how to balance your checkbook and to go grocery shopping. These are all, drive a car, right? These are all things that we have to learn to navigate our world successfully. We need all of these adulting skills. But at some point, your intuition is like, okay, we've got the skills. Now let's play. Now that the mind is on board, the mind's got some great skills. Now we want the intuition to come back in. That's where the partnership comes back. And usually what happens is things that have been working, and even to be honest, with my clients, they're working in the sense that all of my clients are very competent, amazing people that anyone will want to hire them. It's not about whether they're hireable, whether they can do their work. It's that they feel they don't like it. They're bored. They're restless, and they will leave jobs more than the job will. Now, sometimes that happens. Sometimes you can externalize it and you lose the job, like you get fired or the job downsizes. But I think it's because you're trying not to do this job anymore. So I think there is some truth to the fact that if we keep going to our pattern, the mind will go to the pattern it knows. So if you have this sort of pattern of certain kinds of jobs, and I did it. I went to, I guess it was my third ministry job, and it was here in Alabama. We moved here. My husband was the minister, and I was hired for just as a Christian educator minister at another job, another church. And I did it for maybe 5 months, and it was great. I had no conflict. They loved me. Everything I did was fine. And I was like, yeah, I'm just bored. Like it was not. There was no. It was clear there was no conflict outside. They were happy to keep me. I just got bored. And I thought that's when I was like, okay, no more of ministry jobs. That's just not going to be it. So there is a moment where you go, yeah, this pattern doesn't work for me and I need to break the pattern. So I would say that makes sense to me. If you're repeating old patterns and they're increasingly less satisfying, how about that? Or increasingly less successful, it's probably because you're just ready to do your thing on the planet. Whatever you needed from those jobs, the competency, the experience, the awareness that the mind needed, you've got that now. Let's move on. It's like graduating high school or college. You did it. You got what you needed. Now go into the world and make it your own in the way you're here to make it. So that would make sense to me, that the more you continue the pattern, because if you're a linear person, the more you do a pattern, the better you get at the pattern, right? Like it becomes more satisfying. You're like, yeah, I'm really good at this. Like there's a flow. It actually feels good. You can ask my husband. He's definitely a pattern guy. And the more he lives in the pattern, the more like confident he gets in it, right? He's not bored. He's having a great time. But for me, the more I'm in a pattern, the less flexibility the pattern has. And I'm not really built to continue the same thing over and over. I'm built to expand. So I hope that helps make sense. Okay, so here we got a spread. Sebastian has temperance reversed, the sun and the moon. Oh my gosh, you had all major arcana cards. So big harvest for you, big harvest moon. Okay, I've even got the questions. The first question was, what is the fruit that is coming up, right? Temperance reverse. Wow. So temperance is in the Rider Waite is the angel with one foot in the water, one foot on the land. And it's about that relationship between the mind and the intuition, which is really the relationship between the spiritual self and the human self. And we've been talking about this whole time, the idea that we have to have a partnership. They have to be able to get along, right? Because ultimately we want the magic of intuition and the know-how of the mind to join hands. And now we're actually manifesting new, creative, amazing things in the physical world. You can't do that without both of them working together. So the reversal of temperance in response to this question, I would say is kind of a new place of partnership or mastery. Like we've hit this moment where the mind and intuition are getting each other in a new way. They're joining hands. They have figured out how to do something and they're having fun, right? They're really creating something in the world. So I would read the first card as the project that the mind and intuition are working on. It's coming together, and there's something has finally manifested in the world that you're like, yes, there's the thing that we did together. Now, one of the challenges that comes from this, people do this all the time. They manifest amazing things and they don't see it. And it's partly because the mind doesn't realize that's the work. Again, because the mind's like, well, the work is you go to the office or you dig a hole or you tow there's something very like specific the mind thinks the work is. And it doesn't realize the work is playing with children, for example. It's like, oh, that's the work. That's the work, playing with children. So there is a bit of a challenge sometimes with the mind realizing this was the work and kind of giving it the attention and the recognition it deserves. So you might discover you have to kind of push your mind a little to say, okay, we've been playing. What has come from that? And getting the mind to realize that there's value and that is the fruit. So that may be one of the challenges from that. The second is how do you harvest the fruits? The sun. Oh my gosh, the sun's the most. I mean, I love all the cards, but I love the sun because it's vibrant, it's beautiful. It kind of reminds me a little of this card. I mean, it's a kind of a bigger version of the Nine of Pentacles because it's like I'm in the world, I'm having a great time. In the Rider Waite, it has the naked baby riding a horse. The naked baby is about youth and innocence, like freedom, and nakedness is about freedom, being in your own skin and enjoying it. The horse is about agency, which actually connects a little to Chariot, right? We got a horse, flying by, and there's all this power and agency. And the idea of the sun is kind of like I think it is receiving the gifts of the sun. Like it's literally about saying we're on the planet. The sun is giving us light and warmth. We are eternally beloved. We are the beloved of the sun because it always shows up for us. It's always giving us what we need to live. Even if we're not recognizing it, we're not seeing it. Even if it's behind the clouds, the sun is always giving its gift. There's an eternal belovedness in this card. You are eternally beloved. But the other piece of it is you are the sun. We are beloved by the sun and we become the sun. And the truth is that that's something, I think that's the larger lesson of the sun card is that you are an eternal blessing on the planet, even when you don't mean to be, even when you don't realize you are, even when your mind doesn't realize it's happening and is worried that you're not doing this thing over there. You are still doing this amazing, beautiful gift. And actually, temperance, reverse, and the sun feel like they could work together really nicely here because temperance is saying, oh, the magic happened. And the sun saying, it always happens. I'm just eternally magical. So kind of, and really the movement here is letting the mind off the hook. We're not supposed to be doing other things. We can't even help doing the thing we're here to do. We just want the mind to be on board and to enjoy it as well. So it's not so much about, can I do something important on the world? It's more like, can I help the mind stop fighting so hard or worrying so hard or beating itself up so hard? Can we get the human to enjoy what the spirit is doing? I was thinking about this the other day that the question people come to me a lot with is, what am I supposed to be doing? Right? Oh, I hate that question. Well, I hate it because it implies there is some directive outside of ourselves that has a plan there's an agenda outside of ourselves we're supposed to be taking care of. And I always say, you're not supposed to be doing anything. You are built to do something. Like you're here on the planet to do something. And when you do the thing you're here to do, when you get rid of all your obstacles, you become the thing. You are the thing you're here to do. So there isn't something outside yourself that's dictating who you're supposed to be. You are built with it inside of you. And all you have to do is learn how to listen to that and trust it and get your mind to stop fighting it. I was working with a client the other day and we were talking, she was having a great time. She was talking about stuff and she was saying, but it's so easy. It's so easy to do this. I'm like, yes, it is. It's so easy. And that's part of the challenge is that the mind thinks it's going to be hard and it's confused when it is easy. So all that to respond to the sun. And then how do you get in the world? That's the moon. Now that's interesting because the moon comes just before the sun in the major arcana, right? And the moon is like you're excavating parts of yourself that are buried. So the moon's kind of like, you've come to the point you're ready to integrate some part of yourself that maybe got cut off when you were younger. So the way I would see the moon is like, so moving into the world, right? You're moving into the world. Let's say that there's something you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm not good at that. I don't like that. There's some kind of area of resistance where, like, let's say this is not a good example probably, but like someone wants to start dating again. And they're like, well, I'm never going to get online, right? Not going to do online dating. Well, I'm not saying you should do online dating. I've never done it myself, but I would say that resistance, you want to know what that's about, right? Like you're very resistant to online dating. Let's figure out why you're so resistant. So you want to look at where you're holding out because where you hold out on something shows that something is stuck. So let's say you've got this amazing thing in the world and you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to playing with kids because that just came to me. I'm playing with kids. I love playing with kids, but I'm not going to be a teacher. I'm not going to be a teacher. Not going to do that. Now I'm not saying you need to be a teacher, but the fact that I'm not going to do it, that needs exploring. So I would say the moon here is like, what in me is sort of stopping something from happening? Because I'm afraid of it. I've learned I'm not good at it. I'm opposed to it. Where is the stuck thing? Because that stuck experience usually connects to a part of ourselves that has been harmed and that's ready to be like reintegrated. We want to resolve that, bring that back to the light. The moon's about being in the shadow, being in the dark. We want to bring that part of ourselves to the light and heal it and reintegrate it. We don't know what will happen next. I'm not saying you'll end up doing the thing you said you wouldn't do, although sometimes that does happen. But it's more just like this part of me is angry and stuck. I want to take care of it. Okay, so that's how I respond to the moon. Let's see. Blessed be. Raspberry Moon, thank you. Mary says, I can't believe I aligned with the studio. Oh, hi, Mary. Oh, good. I'm glad you're here. Let's see. Mary says, having trouble with my adulting skills right now. I just want to be playing with this moon, but I feel like I need to organize. Mary. You know what I would say? I mean, yeah, I get that you need to I think you need to organize, but I would say this too, and she knows this. I'm going to say, she knows I'm going to say before I say it, which is, if you will let yourself play, the organizing will happen naturally. It'll actually just, I mean, like when I picked up the dulcimer and I started playing, I'm like, oh, I picked it up, I figured out, and there's a song, right? I didn't have to go, I need to learn how to play the dulcimer, right? I just at one point picked it up and started playing. There's something magical that happens when you relax into play, right? And maybe you'll be playing and someone says, hey, let me organize that for you. You never know what the universe is going to send you. But if you can sort of help your mind let go of, like, I should be doing this, I should be adulting. Okay, well, that's fine. We will adult. And by the way, that's what the temperance came up in that spread. Temperance is about trusting that there is a genius to how the mind and intuition work together. And we want to give them a chance to find that space, right? So if the mind's like, hey, we need to adult, and you say, no, we need to play. Let's figure out how to, let's help them work together so that they can both do what they're here to do. And if they learn to work together, not in opposition, they're not, I either play or I work. It's like, no, there's a way to do them both. So, like, are we going to let them, helping them come together, to partner? Like, maybe we play for a while, and then at some point, we'll move into adulting. And I think that if you genuinely make that like they really want to be partnered, the mind and intuition are built to be partners together. If we really honor that and work with that together, we will figure the way forward. So anyway, that's what I would say, Mary. And here's another spread. Okay. Brittany says 6 of cups, 5, all cups. You're all about the heart and the intuition today. Okay, so what have you brought into the world? The 6 of cups. Okay, 6 of cups in the Rider-Waite are the 2 children sharing cups together. So the number 6 is connected to harmony and integration, and this idea of like a relaxed and innocence. In this card, I think it's about innocence. The heart is unguarded. It's like it's letting itself express itself. It's being loved. There's a safety in this, or I don't know if safety is the right word. There's an expectation of safety. Like, nothing bad's going to happen to me here. I expect there to be loveliness and kindness in the world. And that image also has an adult man walking out of the scene, which is basically like the jadedness of the adult is being released. And now we're just letting ourselves be in this place of children. So innocence is not about naivete. They're not the same thing. Naivete comes when we're very young, because we have no other experiences. We think everything's going to be perfect because we have another experiences to argue the other, right? Innocence is a choice that you make. Like, I'm going to come to the world with an open, relaxed heart. So what I would say is the harvest then is that relaxed heart, something about the heart feeling relaxed and happy in the world, feeling like it can be itself in the world. So now what that would look like as far as a fruit, like what does it look like in the fruit? Like where does your heart's expression, where has it been allowed to be free? Where has it been moving in the world? And kind of recognizing, once again, it may not look like material, like a product you've made. It might, or because it may be like because the heart can express itself through creating things, right? Or doing, but it also might be connections and relationships. The harvest might be something your heart actually felt inspired to create and is expressing its love in the world, like making cookies for somebody, or planting a garden. It could look like that, or it could look like time you spent with people, this expression of love. But that would be the way I would read that harvest. Okay, that question was, that was what your harvest is. How do you bring it? How do you harvest it? That's the 5 of cups, right? So the 5 is the challenge point in the tarot. It's right there in the middle, the 10 card spread, the 5's the middle. And in the Rider-Waite, the 5 of cups is a man who's looking back at a castle, like a home, like he's been exiled from a home. So it's a sad card. It feels heavy. It feels grief stricken because he's been kicked out of something. He's had something disappointing happen, and he's feeling that disappointment. So it's a loss card. It's an experience of loss. So part of the challenge of the 5 of cups is recognizing the loss you've had. So feeling the loss, acknowledging it and releasing it so that you can move forward, right? So in the image, you've got in front of the guy, there's 3 cups that are overturned. That represents kind of the loss he's had. Behind him are 2 upright cups. So basically it's like, yes, acknowledge what you've lost. And that actually can be a challenge for people, because especially when you've had losses that you're aware of and you think you've already dealt with them, or that you haven't dealt with them because you sort of block them off. Like, there's time we avoid loss. Our mind has a strategy to avoid loss, which is reasonable, because when you have the loss, you're not ready to process it or to really deal with it. So you have to kind of cut it off and move on, right? That's just survival. But at some point you're ready to go back and take care of this. So there's a loss that Even if you think you've dealt with it, it still feels painful, or something is. So that would be the challenge: is can you recognize the loss you've had? Can you love it and be kind to it, not ignore it, not compartmentalize it, but come back and own it and heal it, so that you're truly free to like turn and move forward. So it's interesting, like you've got these two back to back. The 6 is like this openness of heart, and the 5 is like, yeah, but there's a little bit of a challenge. And we want to completely free up that challenge so that 6 is just free to flow. That would be the harvest. You've got this beautiful harvest of 6 of cups. How do you access it? Well, maybe there's something kind of blocking that. So you access it by seeing what's blocking it and releasing it. And then the 3 of cups. So then how do you give it to the world? 3 of cups is the party, right? And then right away, it's 3 women in a circle. They're dancing. They're cheering each other with cups. They're toasting each other. And it's like 3 is about momentum. It's about we're in flow. We're having a good time. And our heart is just flowing in the world with people who love us, who are excited about us, and who encourage our hearts to go further. So I would say this is a really kind of neat lineup of cups, right? That I think is very nice. But I think the 3 of cups is also, they're all about like being yourself. The heart is always about connection and being yourself. You can't really connect with others if you're hiding yourself. I mean, there may be some connection, right? But it's like you don't feel like you're truly received until you let someone see who you are. So this is all about revealing who you are and figuring out how to release the pain that might be holding you back, which would be the 5 of cups. All right, let's see. Gosh, my eyes are so tired. Great. I've come a long way in my journey as a tarot reader. Well, good. I'm glad. And because of my videos, wonderful. Oh, there's another spread. Oh, there's a few more spreads. Okay. I gotta get a move on. I'm taking too much time, too much of your time. Okay. So Jesse says 4 of Pentacles reversed, 4 of Cups reversed, and 7 of Wands reversed, and 3 of Wands jumped out. Oh, 7 of Wands and 3 of Wands jumped out together. Okay. Yeah. Whenever my cards jump out, I know people do it differently, but I'm so clumsy with my cards that I don't count it. I'm like, yeah, I'm just not very good at handling my cards. So anyway, but I'll look at yours. Okay. So the harvest is 4 of Pentacles reversed. Oh gosh, what's 4 of Pentacles? Oh, it's the little guy with the pentacle. The little guy holding a pentacle on his head, and he's holding one. He's got 2 more. So he's standing on 2. He's got 1 in his arms, 1 in his head. He's standing on 2. And the 4 is about creating foundation. It's foundational. It's balance. Pentacles are the physical realm. And so the guy, I always think of him as like the banker. He's like the steward. He's keeping track of our pennies, keeping track of things. So he's like, he's paying attention to our resources and making sure we don't lose our resources. We're minding our resources, which is a great and teaching of stewardship. But it can be stingy. Like I'm holding on to my resources. I'm kind of hoarding my resources because I'm afraid I'm going to run out. There is can be a little bit of fear and anxiety around I'm guarding my pennies, right? So the reversal is kind of like releasing that anxiety. To me, it'd be like, yeah, I'm just going to go and flow, going to follow my instincts. I'm not going to like count my pennies. I'm just going to trust because, energy is energy. If you let your energy flow into the world, you also allow energy to flow in. So it's not as linear as, well, if I give you $1, I've lost $1. It's not quite that linear. I mean, it can be if you think it is, but really, like if I invest in the world in a way that matches my flow, then more flow comes in. So you begin to trust there's an energetic responsiveness to the universe. The more I relax into what I'm here to do and don't worry so much about it, the more flow happens. So that's what I would say there, like as a harvest, then maybe you're seeing kind of as you relax more into your giving in the world, more opportunities, more opportunities and resources are following your way, and kind of you're getting an expansion of experience and energy because of that release of too strong stewardship, too strong like worry about money. That'd be one way of reading that. How do you access it? It's the 4 of Cups reversed. So the 4 of Cups, so the 4, right? So we're all about balancing here. It's about figuring out, or maybe it's about unbalancing a little, right? Because the reversal is like, let go of your old way of balancing. So if you used to be very tight around money, you were very budgeting, and you're kind of releasing that. I don't want to do it that way. Let's try something else. I'm creating more flexibility and flow. So that would be the first one. The second one's also a foundation. 4 is about foundation, but it's another reversal. So Cups is about the heart, connection, intuition. And the image in the right or right is the guy sitting under a tree. There's 3 cups in front of him and one's being handed to him. So it's like by a magical hand. So there's this idea that he is it's a foundational relationship with your heart. It's basically saying, I'm learning the language of my heart, my intuition. I'm learning to care about attend to my feelings and my emotional well-being. And so that he's away, that the tree, he's taking a break from other people. Because to learn your own heart's language, you need to listen to your heart and not get distracted by other people. So there's the idea of a willingness to be in your own space and listen to your own heart so that you learn the language of the heart. Really, it's like the mind is taking time to learn the language of the heart. The human mind is learning the language of the intuitive spirit, right? Now, the reversal to me is like, almost like trusting that you know this already. Like you don't have to spend time under the tree because your language, the heart of your language, your intuitive language is very clear, like trusting that to move. So now you can just start moving in the world, right? Go ahead and move. Like, because I think we have a tendency to like think we're not ready a lot of times. Like I need to spend more time in meditation. I need to spend more time taking classes. I need to spend more time in prayer. And there's nothing inherently wrong with spending more time in prayer, except that at some point, prayer or meditation, well, I'm very practical in how I do things. Everything's a tool. You're using prayer and meditation to accomplish a task. And that is, I learn my heart. I can hear my heart in a new way. I've learned its language. But the point of learning the language is so that you can then follow that guidance in the world. Now it's time to move, right? And the major arcana is you act, you rest, you act, you rest, right? Resting is important, but there's a time to come out of rest and start doing something, right? And so I would say there is something like your heart's asking you to do. There's a movement like going ahead and stepping, bringing your heart into the world and let it do the work it's here to do. And actually the follow-up to Four of Heart, the Four of Cups, actually it's the Five of Cups, what we just talked about. That's the challenge. There's some pain point the heart needs to resolve. That may be what's happening is you've been in this place of kind of connection and like learning your heart. And now your heart's like, now we need to heal something. That might be the follow-up to that. And then Seven of Wands reversed and Three of Wands reversed. So seven's about choosing and three is about momentum. And the Three of Wands is, oh gosh, I can't think of what it looks like. I'll come back to that. Seven of Wands is the guy I mentioned before that's standing his ground. He's choosing. It's about choice. It's about passion and confidence and inspiration. Three of Wands. Oh, it's the guy at the seashore, right? The guy at the seashore. He's out in the world and he's watching his ships come in. So it's like he's following his passion. He's in the world doing his thing. And now the universe is sending him opportunities, right? So actually, those reversals can match each other, which is like the reversal is recognizing that your passion influences the universe is responding to your passion and sending you stuff, sending you help. The Seven of Wands is like, yeah, the Seven of Wands upright can be like, I'm defending myself. I have to stand my ground. And the reversal can be like, you don't have to stand your ground because the universe, you're not defending yourself. Don't defend against something. Let the universe help you. Instead of blocking, we're keeping something out. We're letting something in. So how do you move in the world? How do you get your harvest in the world? That's the third question, right? You do it by looking, the universe is already opening a path. Like the universe is helping you do what you're here to do. So like, just take the path the universe, like look for the path, expect to see your ships coming in. They're coming in, right? And don't look for obstacles, look for opportunities because the universe is on your side. It's cooperating with you. And again, that's a great idea, but you have to train the mind to see it that way, especially if the mind has experience of being pushed on and feeling excluded or feeling stuck or feeling pressured, which most creative intuitives have that experience because we are kind of pushed a little bit more, or maybe a lot when we're younger, to be different, to be more logical. So there is kind of a pattern the mind has to unlearn. And actually you may discover the Five of Cups, that healing moment, that healing piece may be something that helps you. Like there may be something an old wound that sort of got the mind a bit stuck. So it doesn't see the world as friendly or the universe is helpful. If you clear that, you may discover it opens something free and the mind goes, oh, I can see it now. I can see where the universe just loves me and is here to help. That's one way of reading that spread. Okay. Let's see. Last spread I see right now. Good. Is, oh gosh, Amber. Oh my gosh, my eyes are watering so badly. Also, I think I need new glasses. 50. Amber says a Page of Pentacles and the Star. She only brought two, so I don't know. Okay. Let's just say Page of Pentacles and the Star. I wonder what questions those would apply to. Oh, I don't want to just make them up for you. Okay, well, let me know if there's a third one, just so I don't misread what you're saying. Because I actually do, I say this a lot, but I read the cards always in context. So if someone gives me, I've had people, not as much anymore. People used to give me like 7 cards they pulled and said, what does it mean? I'm like, I have no idea because I have no idea like what your intention was. Plus, I didn't pull the cards. If I don't, well, I'm breaking my rules a little here because you pulled the cards and I'm reading what I think. So I'm breaking the rules a little. But typically, I don't read other people's cards. I think the cards are being pulled for you, and they're a conversation you're having with yourself, with your own soul, or your own inspiration, right? So, but in this case, I've actually given you the questions. So I've created a bit of a structure, and if I'm just reading them inside of my structure, but I always read cards in context with each other and with the questions. So I don't think like a 10 of wands, you'll probably, if you look at my 10 of wands card or readings, there's a lot of similarities because there is a certain, it's like it's a letter in the alphabet. I do have a meaning behind it, but I will adapt the meaning based on what I've asked and where it's showing up with others. So I feel like just the 2 cards, I don't want to just take them out of context. I don't know which questions they're responding to, and it would change. It would change how I read them. So I don't know if that's helpful or at this point, but anyway, but we have been going for a long time. So I'm going to stop now with the harvest moon. But feel free. Oh, wait. Okay. So, that's a different one. The Hermit upright. 999, the Hermit upright. Okay. That's good. Hermit is nice, but I don't know what's it's in response to, right? The Hermit's the guy that kind of, the wise old man of the tarot who knows when it's time to step back from other people and to go into his cave to surface his own insight. But I always say the Hermit, I think the Hermit goes into the world and out of the world. He's walking the labyrinth. I love the labyrinth. And the labyrinth is like, it's not a maze. The labyrinth is like a direct path. So you walk the labyrinth, you go to the center, and then you come back out. So I think of the Hermit as being the one who knows when it's time, something is trying to surface in him or in that person. And they go, okay, I'm going to make room for this to surface. And they leave behind the noise and the expectations of other people. And they walk in the center of the labyrinth. They sit in the center of the labyrinth until the gift surfaces. Then they return. They walk out of the labyrinth and return to the world. So this lovely kind of back and forth of, I'm in the world, I'm engaging the world. Ooh, something's trying to come up in me. I step back from the world to do almost like a birthing process. I'm really birthing this new wisdom. And then I come to the world to give that wisdom. So I like that idea of the Hermit, because otherwise you have kind of a radical version of the Hermit, which is an ascetic. It's like, oh, no world, stay away from the world. And I don't like that. I just don't like that. I don't like that idea. But also I like the idea of the Hermit. I just lost what I was saying. Not the ascetic. Okay. Clearly I'm tired. It's been going too long. What was I going to say about the Hermit? I don't know. It'll come to me later. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to stop for now. So I don't keep just talking nonsense, but I'm glad you guys were here. I will try to be here in a couple weeks to do the next new moon. So I hope you can join me then. And if you're seeing this on the replay, let me know that you were here. And if you want to share your spread, you can do it then. And if you want to use my spread, you're always willing. That's my version of a collective spread. But I will see you next time. Have a great couple of weeks. Bye.